Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Grapholistic Podcast, the pod all about handwritings and characters analysis. I am your podcaster, S.Sulianah. In this episode, I will cover the last step in developing your communication skills, that is, how to be an effective listener. Why being a good listener is important in your day-to-day communication with people. Listening is the main point source for you to gain more knowledge about the person you are talking to. Knowing about them, what they had shared with you, will make you move one step further in creating a social connection. Yes, being a good speaker to talk to people is important, but without a solid listening skill, how can you forge a two-way communication with the other person you are in a relationship with? And most importantly is that if you are not being a good listener, the words you listen to would be misinterpreted by you. And when it is time for you to share the information to pass down to another person, the story could be totally different from the actual, which then will become like a gossip, rumor, and leads to misunderstandings. The listening skills that I am referring to here would be more to social communication between you and your friends, family members, colleagues, and also acquaintances. When I say listen, it means that if you are told to summarize what the other person just said, you could do it including using the correct tone of voice that fits the same meaning as the message that you receive. The points I will share are the basics to set you to make the first few steps. What are the easiest ways to start building the foundation of your listening skills? Firstly, identify what is your current position. Are you the type of person who does listen to others or the one who usually do the talking? Even you are the one who usually talks a lot. When it is your turn to keep quiet and listen to the other person, do you usually listen, or you are the one who always keep interrupting? Or you just blank out because it's not important for you. So the first step is to observe yourself first. So secondly, if you find yourself not able to listen to others speak, find out why. Is it because you have issues understanding the language? Is it because of your concentration level? It could also be your ego and arrogance that is preventing you from listening to what others has to say, because for you, their experiences might not mean anything in comparison to yours. Or it could be because of other reasons. In this case, you have to know the root cause of why you are unable to listen effectively. The third point is to sharpen your listening skills. These are some ways that I had learned by myself over the years. One of them is by learning to listen to song lyrics in music. Usually what I did was, when I listened to new songs, what I did was, for my first take is usually to capture the lyric sang by the artist. It should be easy to capture those if you are able to understand through their accents, or sometimes they purposely change the pronunciations to fit the melody. After that, listen to it again, but this time check the lyrics. This could be on the third or the fourth listen usually. This method can also be applied when you watch movies and interviews without reading the subtitles. The fourth point is when you are in a social setting, educate yourself consciously. Be present. During those times when someone is speaking to you, sharing about their stories, learn to listen. When you have something to say while a person is talking to you, be self-aware. Tell yourself to shut it off first. Let the person speak. You, on the other hand, listen and understand what she is trying to say. If it is a discussion, give a pause before you add in your perspective of the topic that you are talking about. If you don't agree, say something like, "I get what you meant from your perspective." Then you can add in your view or ideas. Also remember that sometimes it doesn't mean that you have to share your opinion in a discussion. Sometimes being quiet is fine. You have to learn to read the room, whether it is suitable for you to say anything out loud. When your instinct tells you to keep quiet and stops you from saying something, listen to it. Because most of the time, your instinct is right to tell you to keep it cool. This is one of the socializing survival kits that you have to have by default. If not, you have to train yourself. Moving on from the basics way to sharpen your listening skills, how can you be an effective listener which reflects your personality, not only as a friend, but as an employee, employer, or a partner? Firstly, what you have to do is you have to be present, be attentive, and show compassion when you are there to listen. If a friend or someone you know is not in a good situation, if you don't know what to do to help, listen first. Then after that, you can find out how to help that person. Also, one more thing, I need to add in this. Please keep it to yourself and do not share with another friend, especially mutual friends. The reason is because a person sometimes confides in you. Sharing about their concerns or stories is because they feel comfortable when they speak to you out loud about their problems. So you have to hold that honor and not to be that person, who spreads stories around. I have no choice but to highlight this because in the real world, right, and what I had observed all these years is that in many conflicts, doesn't matter at which phase of your life, in school, at work, or even within family members, once people pass information from one person to another, subtly it destroys relationship, especially when the tone of voice changes. And you definitely will agree that tone of voice has direct correlation with the message. The next point is another factor you should take into account, which is don't add in your story while somebody else is telling their story. For instance, you ask your friend to tell the story on why she just left the company she has been working for a decade. Your friend shared with you her reasons, her plans after that, which is to, for instance, run her own companies full-time or continue her studies full-time, So after she finishes, instead of responding with assurance or congratulations, you reply with, oh, I want to do the same, but I couldn't because I am stuck with my company, and if I want to do maybe at a later stage. What was that? Do you have to give your perspective on a conversation like that? Should you insert in your own story for comparisons? No, you should not. And if you are doing it, learn to stop doing that. When you ask someone to tell a story and they did not ask you for your opinion, keep it to yourself. Okay? This time is about her or him, not you. If you have your own story in mind, you can share maybe some other time or with some other people if you cannot hold yourself. You had and will have another opportunities to say it. Show respect to the other person. The third point is to learn to also be self-aware of who you speak to and the kind of person you speak to. Their background, the way they speak to you, who they are, their occupation. Fit your style of communication with what you observe and based on what you listen. Remember that listening is not only about the contents of the conversations. Learn to listen to tone of voice, the hidden meaning if there is any, indirect comments, sarcasm, body language, and any other aspects. The next point is while you are telling your story, learn to also be attentive to observe the other person's body language. So you have to learn to listen to their body language. It is a response to the message you are delivering. If you talk to a person, firstly make sure they are having eye contact with you. For instance, when you are sharing your ideas at work and your boss is busy typing his proposal and doing something else and not looking at you, please stop. Don't waste time talking to him. You can either immediately stop talking or you can say to him, seems like you are busy. I will come back later when you are available to have a discussion. If you're talking to a friend, if he or she is not looking at you most of the time or she kept checking her phone, you can learn to stop immediately or cut the conversation to the end. The things you are saying is not valuable to them, but to you it is important. So save it for others who wants to listen to it. So if you are the type of person who talks so much, right, then this is also a good point for you to learn and be aware of the feedbacks, especially body language. Doesn't matter what type of category or personality you are or the type of person you are, you have to learn when to stop talking. Do not give yourself excuses that you cannot. We all come from the same origins. For sure, you can adapt to situations and not give excuses that you are the type of person or you are not that type of person. When it comes to respecting others, there is no leeway. So when you talk a lot, be attentive to body language of a person you are talking to. They could be very tired listening to only you talking. This can be seen when they fidget too much or their eyes are already on somewhere else in the room other than you. When their feet or body is pointed towards the exit, those are some signs that you should know and learn to stop talking. I used to have an ex-colleague from the company's sales department who talks a lot. If you read Thomas Erickson's book Surrounded by Idiots and Psychopaths, this ex-colleague of mine is in the yellow category. Every time he will talk non-stop. At first, I can manage to listen to him and casually respond to him. But then, gradually, when I realized that his vessels are empty, I decided to change my style whenever he had conversations with me. So what I did was I will turn only half of my posture to him whenever he comes into my room to tell me something. And I will make sure my hands are on my keyboard and my chair directing towards my computer instead of him. So when he tells me something, I will only reply with, okay, noted, got it. No more questions. He will leave in less than 2 minutes in comparison to 30 to 60 minutes in my room. Sometimes it can be more than that. So for instance, if you encounter with similar situations in your workplace or your personal conversations with people, you have to know the basics in communication and then play around with it according to the settings you are in. Same goes to the earlier example when your friend inserted her story while you are sharing yours. You can stop them. You can stop them and say, I am telling my story, which you wanted to know. So this is about me, not you. Can you please let me finish? Usually I will go with compromising and be nice. But when I notice that the individuals will not listen to themselves, I will be very honest to the person. I have heard stories of people sharing about how their friends don't listen to them or refuse to acknowledge them or gaslighting them. And for sure, this will definitely affect your personal happiness and self-esteem and even relationship with the person. Just remember one thing, focus on your instinct and what it tells you about your comfort level with the individuals. You can change yourself, but you do not have control to tell others to change. So decide based on what you think is right for you and keep moving forward. And lastly, keep this in mind. The formula for you as a listener, let me say as an effective, compassionate listener, listen with compassion, plus respect the other party who's talking to you, plus be a trustworthy listener, minus judging the other person, minus don't use that information for your advantage and to use that position to be sarcastic to them. Keep in mind this formula. I would like to close this episode with the following. When you find something is lacking in you or something that you want to change or improve in yourself, firstly be aware of it and then do something to change it. When you put your mind into what you want for yourself, most of the time, it will work out well. I can assure you because it works out for me and thousands of people around the world. We are all humans, built the same. The only difference between us are how we make use of our mind to attain those we strive for. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.